The population I chose for this assignment was those who misuse and abuse prescription medications. Prescription drug misuse is the use of a prescription medication in a way that was not intended by the prescribing physician. Prescription drug abuse includes everything from taking a friend's prescription painkiller for your backache to snorting or injecting ground-up pills to get high. The most commonly misused and abused medications include opioids, CNS depressants, and stimulants. Misuse of prescription drugs is highest among young adults aged 18 to 85, with 14.4% reporting non-medical use within the past year. Size of population. Locally, Weber County is among the worst in the state. Prescription overdose deaths are above the state average. From 2000 to 2015, Utah experienced nearly a 400% increase in deaths from misuse and abuse of prescription drugs. 117,000 Utahns over the age of 12 misused pain relievers within the past year. As of 2017, more than 6% of those aged 12 and older had reported misusing prescriptions in the prior year. That is an estimated 18 million people. Social determinants of health. One of the main factors that plays a role in this problem is people's overall health. This can have to do with mental illness, such as anxiety and depression, or physical problems like pain. Family history of drug use and addiction also can play a role into the problem. It can make you be more prone to addiction, and it can also play a role by teaching you that it's okay to misuse and abuse prescriptions. Some people grow up with prescription misuse being a casual and common thing. This also ties into environment. Access to prescriptions and peer pressure play a large role in the problem. Lack of education is also huge, and I'll get a little bit more into this a little later. Specific concerns with this population. The first would be developing dependency and/or addiction. This is a problem, especially considering that only 1 in 10 people with a substance abuse disorder receive treatment. This can lead up to my other main concern, which is that misusing and abusing prescription medications can serve as a gateway to using other illicit drugs. 80% of current heroin users started off by misusing prescription medications. The other specific concern is obviously that misusing and abusing any substance, including prescription medications, can ultimately lead to overdoses and death. Root causes. One of the main root causes for misusing and abusing prescription medications is an attempt to self-treat a problem. Some of these problems include pain, anxiety, and fatigue. Another root cause is related to the lack of education I previously mentioned. This has to do with the idea and belief that since it's from a doctor and it was meant for someone, it's safe for you to take. One survey found that almost 50% of teens believe that prescription drugs are much safer than illegal street drugs. 60 to 70% say that home medicine cabinets are their source of drugs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Often, but not always, the physiological needs are met in these cases. But in severe instances of addiction and dependency, these needs can also go unmet. From there, the rest of the needs are often unmet. A lot of people start misusing and abusing prescription medications due to a lack of personal security for some reason. The anticipated functional level varies on the situation. Oftentimes, people who are misusing prescription medications can function just fine, especially in the early stages of misuse. This can also vary on the type and amount of the prescription medication that is being abused. Likely health outcomes include your tolerance to the medication building up, dependency and addiction being formed, psychological changes, and withdrawals and overdose. Self-care and self-harm. Self-care levels can change depending on the levels of dependence or addiction. These levels can also be directly related to the previous slide with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Stimulants can cause a self-care deficit by causing insomnia, reduced appetite, and paranoia. Some of the reasons opioids can cause the self-care deficit is opioids can cause poor coordination, confusion, and drowsiness. CNS depressants can cause memory problems, poor concentration, dizziness, and unsteady walking, along with confusion. Drug misuse and abuse causes psychological changes, which leads us to our concern of self-harm. These psychological changes can include depression and suicidal ideation. As I've previously mentioned, overdoses are a big concern with this. This can be intentional or unintentional. Diseases and infections that this population may encounter. Non-communicable, we have addiction, anxiety and depression, heart or lung disease, and hypertension, depending on the medication being abused. Communicable diseases and infections can vary depending on the route of administration. With drug injection, we can see things like HIV and hepatitis. Any type of substance abuse can lead to risky behaviors, which can cause things like STIs.